The cold case epidemic, why unsolved mysteries are back in the spotlight. Hook, first 10 seconds. Cold cases. The word alone sends chills down the spine. But did you know that searches for cold cases have surged by over 800% in the past year? A perfect storm of new DNA technology, true crime podcasts, and public demand is bringing decades-old mysteries back into the spotlight like never before. Chapter 1: The Cold Case Revival. The term cold case refers to any criminal investigation that remains unsolved after a significant amount of time with no new leads. In recent months, cold cases have become one of the most searched topics online. Google Trends shows a massive spike in searches for cold case content, driven by everything from new documentary series to breakthroughs in forensic science that are making headlines around the world. The renewed interest is not just a media phenomenon. Law enforcement agencies across the country are reporting a flood of new tips and leads in old cases, often sparked by viral social media posts and true crime content that reaches millions of viewers. This has led to a number of surprising arrests and convictions in cases that had gone cold for decades, sometimes even centuries. The public's appetite for justice in these cases is driving real results. One recent example involves a case from the 1990s where DNA evidence, analyzed using new genealogy techniques, finally identified a suspect after 25 years of investigation. The arrest made national news and sparked a wave of public interest in cold cases that continues to this day. Similar breakthroughs have occurred in cases dating back to the 1970s and 1980s, proving that new technology can unlock secrets that seemed impossible to reveal. Chapter 2: The Technology Changing Everything. The biggest driver of the cold case revolution is DNA technology. Advances in genetic genealogy, a technique that uses public DNA databases to identify suspects through distant relatives, have solved some of the most notorious unsolved cases in American history. The Golden State Killer, the Bear Brook murders, and the Buck Ruxton case are just a few examples of cold cases cracked by DNA that had stumped investigators for decades. But it is not just DNA. New forensic techniques like isotope analysis, which can trace a person's geographic history through chemical markers in their bones and teeth, digital reconstruction that creates 3D models of crime scenes, and AI-powered facial recognition that can age-progress missing persons are giving investigators tools that did not exist even 5 years ago. These technologies are being applied to cases ranging from missing persons to unsolved homicides, and the results are nothing short of remarkable. Isotope analysis has proven particularly powerful in identifying unknown victims. By analyzing the chemical signatures in a person's remains, investigators can determine where they grew up, what they ate, and even what regions they traveled to. This has helped identify victims in cases where traditional methods failed completely. The technique has been used in cases spanning multiple decades, bringing closure to families who had waited years or even generations for answers. Chapter 3: Social media amplifies this effect exponentially. Viral posts and hashtag campaigns can keep cold cases in the public eye for weeks or months, reaching audiences that traditional media never could. The democratization of investigative work through social media has made it possible for ordinary citizens to contribute to solving crimes that professional investigators could not crack alone. Crowdsourced tips, shared memories, and collective analysis have become powerful tools in the cold case toolkit. This has created a powerful feedback loop. Public attention leads to new tips. New tips lead to new evidence. New evidence sometimes leads to arrests. And arrests lead to more public attention, keeping the cycle going. Some law enforcement agencies have even created dedicated social media teams whose sole job is to promote cold cases and engage with the public online. The results have been measurable, with clearance rates for cold cases increasing significantly in departments that embrace this approach. Chapter 4: The Dark Side of the Cold Case Craze. Not everything about the cold case revival is positive. False accusations, privacy violations, and the exploitation of victims' families for podcast ratings are real and serious concerns. Some investigators warn that the rush to solve cold cases can lead to tunnel vision, where investigators become so focused on one suspect that they ignore other possibilities or even evidence that contradicts their theory. There are also ethical questions about using genetic genealogy databases. Many people who submit their DNA to ancestry services never imagined that their genetic information could be used in criminal investigations. The tension between public safety and individual privacy is one of the most debated topics in modern forensic science. Civil liberties organizations have raised concerns about the potential for misuse of genetic data, and the legal framework around this issue is still evolving. Additionally, the media attention surrounding cold cases can sometimes re-traumatize victims' families, who may feel pressured to relive painful memories for the sake of public interest. The balance between pursuing justice and respecting the privacy and emotional well-being of those affected is a delicate one that investigators and media organizations must navigate carefully. Chapter 5: What the Future Holds. The cold case epidemic shows no signs of slowing down. With new technologies emerging every year and public interest at an all-time high, more unsolved mysteries will likely be solved in the coming years than ever before. The question is whether the justice system is ready for the implications of this revolution. As we continue to push the boundaries of forensic science, we must also grapple with the ethical questions that come with it. The pursuit of justice for victims and their families is admirable and necessary, but it must be balanced with respect for the rights of the accused and the privacy of ordinary citizens. The cold case epidemic is not just a story about solving crimes. It is a story about what happens when technology, media, and public demand converge to create a new kind of justice. Chapter 6: The Future of Cold Case Investigation. Looking ahead, the future of cold case investigation is brighter than it has ever been. Artificial intelligence is being developed specifically for forensic analysis, capable of processing thousands of evidence samples simultaneously and identifying patterns that human investigators might miss entirely. Machine learning models trained on decades of case data can predict which cold cases are most likely to be solved with current technology, helping law enforcement prioritize their efforts. Crowdfunding for cold case investigations is also growing. Families of victims and independent investigators are turning to online platforms to raise money for DNA testing, private investigators, and forensic experts. This grassroots funding model has helped crack cases that would have otherwise remained unsolved due to budget constraints in local law enforcement agencies. Conclusion and call to action. The cold case epidemic is one of the most fascinating developments in true crime and forensic science today. From DNA breakthroughs to podcast-driven investigations, these unsolved mysteries are finally getting the attention they deserve. If you are fascinated by cold cases, be sure to like and subscribe for more content on unsolved mysteries and forensic breakthroughs. What cold case do you think should be solved next? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend who loves true crime. See you in the next video.